Hi everybody, I've got some more information from the Naadi oracles in India which I want to share with you today, and they do seem to give a hint at when this coronavirus may end. This video today is an update on my earlier video about this. You remember I told you about the Indian Naadi oracles. These are like prophetic palm leaves that have been passed down through generations and generations and generations. They're nearly 5,000 years old and are the subject of my book Messages from the Universe, and of my movies and things like that. But I've done a lot of research on all of this, and fortunately I quoted a man called Thomas Ritter, and I was very pleased that we got in touch with each other. And he's in Germany, and he's been also doing a lot of research into the palm leaves, much longer than me, I would add. And I quoted one of the Naadis that he had published some years ago, and fortunately he's also recently consulted the Naadis about this coronavirus. So I've got some new updated information that I can share with you. But it would be best if you come to this for the first time that you do also have a look at the earlier videos I made, and you'll get a little thingy come up somewhere on the screen where a little line comes across where you can click on to go to the other video, or I'll also put it at the recommended videos at the end of this one, because you need to listen to that first, really, so you've got the overview. So the coronavirus, the Naadis have kind of come up with some more information, and first I want to give you the source of this. The source of the Naadi we got this from was the Sri Agasthya Jothida Nilayam Naadi in Chennai. That was the old Madras, you might remember. That's in Tamil Nadu in southern India, and it was Thomas Ritter did the translations of these from the old Tamil into German, and then he's been kind enough to translate it from German into English so that we can share it here. So there's an interesting man. If you're watching this from Germany, you can go and look up at Thomas Ritter's websites and things like that and read some of this in German and other stuff in German. So he's a very interesting man, and I thank Thomas for giving me this information, just as I thank Kim Pasale with his book, who also gave me some of that earlier Naadi information. We're kind of all coming together with this so that the message can get out now. So it appears that I've actually been kind of tuning into the same stuff that the ancient rishis did, because we tune into this thing what we call the Akasha. The Akashic records, they also call it, but the Akasha Chronicles are probably a better word for it. And Akasha is an old Sanskrit word that means kind of ether. You know, like there's 5 elements, including ether. It means sky or atmosphere or energy. And we tune into this kind of sameness, this universal mind, I suppose you could call it, to get glimpses. So people that do clairvoyance get these glimpses through the Akasha. And the ancient rishis had incredible powers doing this thousands and thousands of years ago, up to 10,000 years, some say 5,000 years, it's doubling it I am, but we don't know. I talked about this before, but so we access this today, and it's talking about events that are happening at the time you consult the oracle, which is absolutely mind-boggling. It's like a message it's like an email from 5,000 years ago that warns us about the present point in time. Far more astonishing than Nostradamus, I feel, and massively accurate. So this reading with the Agasthya Naadi was done on the 17th of March 2020. And so, like I said, it was published in German, translated by Thomas Ritter, and the original was in Old Tamil. And remember to watch my other videos. Okay. So I've got the Naadi here, and well, the transcript of the Naadi. And the first thing it says is, within 17 days to 20 days, there will be a cure or a medicine found to cure this disease. In the present moment, there are already human tests. So this Naadi was translated on the 17th of March. So I make that the cure could be found by the 12th of April. Now that does seem to defy a bit of logic, but you know, we're seeing things such as finding that there's some of these existing drugs can be used, such as the drugs that were used in malaria, for example, which I see on the news today they're talking about. Some of these drugs, maybe there's a cure amongst that. So that's optimistic start, isn't it? So it's suggesting that we can find a cure. And then it goes on. In the coming 2 months, we will see more lockdowns and shutdowns of public life worldwide. That will be that will be rising more and more concerns and unrest among the people. Remember, this has been translated. I've kept it without changing anything, so it's a little bit. It's from the Indian, you know. So there's going to be more public lockdowns and public life worldwide, shutdowns and unrest among the people. I mean, that is going to be interesting, because this is something I've been feeling. That there could be, you know, a lot of social unrest. I mean, this on television today, for example, on Sky, we've got people spitting at the police, you know, spitting at the police and having coronavirus and trying to pass on coronavirus. The very people that are here to protect society from these idiots who refuse to stay indoors. So public unrest is already beginning, so the Naadi's there, but maybe there's going to be more serious public unrest. So remember, this is from the Naadi, it's not necessarily from my clairvoyance, but they kind of correspond to many of the things I've already said. And it goes on. In some places and countries, not only in Europe, but also in Southeast Asia and America, there will be uprisings possible. At the end of May, we will see that all the restrictions and lockdowns will be lifted step by step, because there is no longer more a need to do so. Okay, so it's worded a bit odd there, and not the best of English, but it interesting, don't you think? At the end of May, we will see the restrictions ending. And, you know, I mean, obviously Jane and I talk to each other a lot about what we feel about what will happen. I've said it in my earlier videos that I felt beginning of June, I felt that the restrictions would be lifted. And today Jane said to me that she thought, I said about this comment about 20 days from the 17th of March. She said, no, I think it's all going to finish at the end of May, beginning of June. So we're kind of all in correspondence there. Myself, Jane and the Naadi all seem to be saying that's when the restrictions end. When you're a medium or a clairvoyant, or whatever you want to call someone like me, an idiot perhaps, you kind of get these things out of the blue, and you don't really know. They're kind of like someone else has said it, you know. And then I say these things, and I have to look back and think, well, what was I getting there, you know? And it's the same with the Naadi. But so it's good to see this correspondence happening. We're getting across correspondence here, because we're getting the same information from different directions. Then it goes on. Beginning of summer, what we mean around the 21st of June 2020, life will be in normal ways again. So that's not far away, and that's quite reassuring, I think, as well. So I mean, presumably they mean all around the world, not just in India, but this is quite good. Now, I also said there was going to be another outbreak, didn't I? I said there was going to be 2 more outbreaks. You remember that Sharavana said there would be 2 more viruses. I went to India and I saw Sharavana, and he said, if I interpreted it right, that is, in his trance, he said there would be 2 more viruses. Well, maybe there's 2 more outbreaks, because this Naadi goes on to say that there would be another outbreak. So we get on top of it by the 21st of June. We're kind of breaking the back of it, aren't we, by the sort of the 12th of April. Possibly have found a bit of a cure for it by that time. But then it gives another outbreak, because it says, in September 2020 there will be another outbreak, but it will not be this worse like the present situation. So I've left the word, I haven't changed any of the words. It won't be worse. It will be it will be minor, I would have thought. My thought is it won't be major. I think because it's going to, I said in my other videos that there'll be pockets of the world where we can't eradicate it. In particular, I felt Russia, didn't I? I said about Russia, I felt would be an area we couldn't contain it. And I said about the lockdowns that would happen to New York, Chicago, London, Birmingham. All that's kind of happened. So, but at the same time, I felt the same sort of thing. I felt there would be another one. I think Jane said to me she thought August time. But so they're more if end of August, beginning of September. Maybe they're, you know, maybe there's another cross correspondence there again. Now the Naadi also gives us some guidance about what we can do to help ourselves as well. And so I need again refer you to the other video again, because in there was some Ayurvedic medicine cures that were suggested of ways to help you combat it. Not cure, these aren't cures, but they're ways to combat it. And the Naadi says this: very important in the present days for everyone is to strengthen your personal immune system. And then it gives a list of ways that we can do that. So it says, so first, please avoid negativity and fear. And interestingly, I listened to an interesting talk by Sharavana, who said that one of the greatest problems of this whole virus is fear. You know, we hide indoors, we fear it. We shouldn't have fear. We should be fearless in the way we approach this. So, I mean, that breaks down our resistance to these things. So fearlessness. It's like if you fear a dog, it goes for you, doesn't it? You know, and if you don't fear the dog, it doesn't go for attack you. You know, it's like perhaps the virus can almost sense fear. So not to feel fear. Second one is, it says, green vegetables will help you to improve your health. So I don't eat my greens very well, I must admit, but I think it's right here that green vegetables, and particularly freshly picked, what we call sattvic, you know, it's got the energy of high energy of life force in it, would be very good. So not going to be easy if you're quarantined, but if you can, eat green vegetables, and if possible, freshly picked green vegetables. I mean, since all this outbreaks happened, Jane and I couldn't get any orders through the normal supermarkets, and we managed to find farm shops that delivered, and we've been eating better than we've ever eaten, you know. But eating good fresh food like that is amazing. So it says that will help. But so when June comes, you know, go for the fresh stuff. And then it gives these as the best. Now these will be Indian foods. So it says best is tulsi. I don't know what tulsi is. Some of the Indians here and some of the ones that know about that, perhaps you could put some comments about where you can get that and what might be good for you. And it also says the holy Indian basil, and it says the colour of this holy Indian basil should be dark green. Then it is the best, it is most helpful. Okay. And then it says take some pepper soup daily morning. Now pepper soup is an Indian dish again. Now pepper is used often in Ayurvedic type things, I believe, to quicken things. Like if you take it with turmeric, for example, pepper will quicken the absorption. So it's obviously something to do with that. I mean, some of the people that know about these things, again, if you could put something in the comments below to share with people, that's be nice. You might know a recipe. So take some pepper soup daily in the morning. Sounds horrible, pepper soup, but actually I'd imagine the way Indians do things, it's probably very nice indeed. And then it says green leaf like amaranth spleen. Amaranth spleen? Or maybe someone will correct me on that. Collard green, spiny pigweed and other important greens should be taken for strengthening the immune system. Okay, so again, if you're good with these things, you might help people out, because I'm not good with these things. I just don't want to go out suddenly becoming the expert and put wrong links in there. But so we got those other ingredients that are very good for strengthening the immune system. And it says important, always eat fully cooked food. Half-boiled or semi-cooked food should be restricted. Okay, so that seems to be part of the recommendations. And then saying taking hot water regularly. That will remind you. Taking hot water regularly is good for fighting against the virus. So these are some of the simple suggestions it's given for strengthening the immune system. But overall, you know, I'm into the Naadis 100%. I mean, the predictions it makes are so mind-bogglingly accurate in my own life that I hope that it can be the same for the world here as well. And so all of this does seem a bit to be going a bit against what the experts are saying to us about how this pandemic, and they're sort of talking very long term with some of it. But there's maybe a few sort of hopes there, maybe a few things that we can look out for and know that perhaps there's going to be not such bad times ahead for so long as we fear. So maybe there's some hope in those malarial drugs and things like that they're talking about. And again, I refer you to the other videos for some of the things that were said there. So the Naadis did say the other Naadis said we'd overcome it bit by bit, didn't they? So again, this kind of corresponds a bit with that as well. So this is kind of another Naadi that's there. So we've got a lot of Naadis saying very similar things. Jane and myself with our clairvoyance saying similar things. Other mediums and psychics out there kind of said similar things, but I always worry that they copy each other, because I often caught people doing that with my own website when I put keywords in with a certain word that catches them out. But yeah, so I'm never sure, but there does seem to be certainly from this across correspondence that seems to suggest that this is there's a shortening of the timing on this. So that's very good. So hopefully that's helpful to you. Now I'm also doing some new stuff online. You might have seen recently a new video came out doing meditations. And I'm doing live meditations through the Patron site. So those that are patrons on the site can come and join me for live meditations. In fact, it's going to be more than meditations. I'm going to be teaching techniques that you can use to open your awareness, basically. I'm going to use lots of different techniques. Some of them are a little bit obscure. Some of them come from the Siddha yogis. Some of them come from the tantric side of Hinduism, and some of them come from spiritualism as well, because I'm also going to show you how to connect with the spirit world and what I do. So basically this is kind of my own take on things, but I think some of you who have the patience to do this, because they're quite long videos, they're about an hour usually, those of you who have the patience to do it would like to sit with me. And if you sit with me live, we kind of build an energy just like we do when we're in a studio, in a circle, you know. Energy builds. Even though we're miles and miles apart, we still connect some way. So I would like any of those of you that are patrons watching this to come and join me when I announce them. I'm going to do them all different times so that people can join from all around the world. So it's not a set time at the moment. Later on we're set to a set time, and particularly when we get into our new premises to do this as well. So you can always go back through them and see them. You don't have to do it live. In fact, you can watch them, and hopefully they'll be a useful resource to you. And I've put one up the other day, but there's a playlist on the site that you'll be able to go through all of them and be able to go through them systematically, because I'll pick up from one to another. So if you become a patron, you can do that. So thank you again for joining me, and thank you for listening, and I hope this is over soon, eh? Anyway, stay safe, see you soon, bye for now.